Hello and welcome to my first video tutorial. Today I'm going to be doing the Toxic look, perfect in time for Halloween, and I'll just give you a brief explanation on the look and then we'll cut to the tutorial, which will be voiceover, because it's a lot easier to explain what you're doing in a voiceover than trying to remember to talk while doing your makeup. So if you guys remember, the Toxic look was that green makeup with the like double wing and the Toxic symbol in the middle of my in between my eyes, middle of my forehead. You know what I'm talking about. And then some of the photos I had fake blood coming out of my mouth and nose. So the fake blood coming out of my mouth was corn syrup with red and a little bit of blue food coloring just to make it like darker, and some green. So that if I swallowed it, it was food, because there's not really a lot of, there's a lot of mouth-safe blood, but it's hard to come by in such short notice, and sometimes it can taste like really nasty, so I just went with something sweet and easy that was kind of the consistency of blood. If you'd like a tutorial on that, I will gladly make one and show you guys how to do that. And other than that, other than like the researching bit of like radioactive poisoning, I can't remember what they called it, just to get a more accurate, like a basic description of what radioactive poisoning looks like. Like realistically, it doesn't look pretty like that. There's burns, there's boils, there's blood coming out of every orifice. If you guys would like to see a more realistic radioactive victim, sound off in the comments below and I will try and come up with one. It's definitely doable. I can do a tutorial on it if you want. But other than that, let's get started. Hello and welcome to VoiceOver Rhiannon. We are getting started with the Rimmel London Stay Matte Primer. And I'm just concentrating it on like my highest oily points. So my nose, my cheeks, my forehead, basically my whole face, because my whole face is kind of oily. It's kind of like combo, like certain sections are really dry and certain sections are really oily. But I prefer to just use like an overall mattifying primer after doing my skincare routine, because I get the moisturizing effects of my skincare routine and then the mattifying effects of the primer, and then I'm just buffing it out with a beauty blender. And then we are moving on to foundation. I'm using the Maybelline Fit Me foundations in shade 102, 115, and 120. 120 is closest to my skin tone right now, but I'm adding the 115 and the 102 just to make myself look a little bit paler for the character, because we're kind of doing a personified version of radiation poisoning. And this is in no way glorifying like the effects of radiation poisoning and stuff, because I know that something went down with Chernobyl and it's a very tragic and awful thing. This is just beauty makeup. It's just beauty makeup of like radiation and stuff like that, like personified. So we're just going to blend out the foundations with our beauty blender like normal, or your brush, whatever you want to use. I've just sped up the footage for some of the clips so that you don't have to like sit through 45 minutes of me just putting makeup on. I mean, if you want to sit through 45 minutes of uncut footage of me putting makeup on in silence, let me know. And next up is concealer, and the concealers that I'm using are the NYX Studio Photogenic Camouflage Color Corrector, and then two Maybelline Fit Me concealers in shade 5 and 15. I'm just putting on the NYX color corrector in yellow to just cancel out my under eye designer bags. and blending it out with my beauty blender. You don't have to use a color corrector. I just like to use a color corrector because my eye bags, I find personally, are a little dark. I don't know why. I'm envious of the people who have like super... I've worked with people who like one coat of concealer and their eye bags disappear. And I'm like, girl, I have to wear like 6 to cover them up. Anyway, we're going to go in with 5 and 15. I find I like a little bit of a highlighted under eye, but not like super highlighted. So I like to use 5 to add the highlight and then 15 to kind of balance it out so it's not like super stark highlighted. So we're just blending that out. Blending. It's funny how most of applying makeup is just blending products into your skin, trying to make it look like skin. And now we are contouring. I like to contour with concealers. I'm using shade 55 and 60 in the Maybelline Fit Me collection. You don't have to do this step. I like to do this step because I feel like it gives me a more natural contour. And then when I go over top of it with powder, I don't have to use as much, so I don't look super muddy. Because I find if you use way too much contour powder, you look really muddy, and it's just, it doesn't look nice. I don't like it. So I go in with a cream contour and I do what I need to do. I'm just applying a little bit more because I feel like it wasn't dark enough. And I mean, it's all preference. Some people like a really light natural contour. Others like that really kind of Kim K chiseled, re-sculpting your face shape kind of contour. I'm doing like an in-between. Like I want a gaunt look, not quite like starved, you know what I mean, and just making funny faces in the camera now. That's the best part about makeup, is the funny faces. And now for setting powder. I am using 2 different setting powders, both from Maybelline in the Fit Me collection. I am using 15 and 5. 5 is like way too light for me, even though we're like slowly getting into winter. So I just like to add a bit of my summer shade, which is 15, into it to kind of create a transition-y shade. And I just pat it under my under eyes to prevent creasing. Some people like to do baking. I don't really like to do it because it's just, you're putting a ton of product on. That's not really necessary. I will, however, press my my powder in with a beauty blender, so it's not quite baking. Baking is when you take it and you like kind of swipe it on and leave it there. I'm like pressing it in, so I'm not like leaving it there. You don't have to do that. You can just do a once over with a powder brush and you're good to go. Whatever floats your boat. Makeup is makeup, and you apply it how you want to apply it. If you think it looks good, you think it looks good. If you want to do an extra step, you want to do an extra step. And now we are moving on to Quo Beauty Blush. I recently discovered this blush, and I love it so much. I'm wearing shade Blushing Rose 41. You can get it at Shoppers. I love it. I used to use a NYX blush, and I was running out, so I needed to get something like similar, and because a lot of the stuff is closed and I got my NYX blush in the NYX advent calendar, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get it again, even like online or in a store. So for the blush, we're just applying it to the apples of our cheeks and the tip of my nose like normal, but a little bit lighter because of the character. I typically like to have a super blushy, rosy kind of look, but you do whatever you want to do. And now we're contouring. I'm using the Essence Duo Contouring Palette. It is a crime how cheap this thing is. I think it cost me like $5. And it's so good. Like, give it a second here. Like, look at how good this contour is. That's the cream and that's the powder. That is insane. If you can get your hands on anything Essence, like in my kit for my clients, I have Essence highlighters, and you can see what they look like on the pictures I did with my stepsister and my little brother, the like red and gold god and goddess pictures. It is insane how good these products are. And we're just going to blend it out with a powder brush. I do that because I find I tend to make my contour a little bit muddy. I don't know how, but it's something that I do. And now we are moving on to bronzer. I'm using a big fan brush and the L'Oreal Paris Bronze Please. I honestly don't know what the shade name is. There's, like, it says La Terra on the back, and this is 03, so I really don't know. If you really want to know what it is, I'll text you a picture of it, because I don't know what to call it. It's got no name. It's the unknown bronzer. That's what I'll call it, the unknown bronzer. And then I'm just going in with a blush brush to help buff out the bronzer and make sure that everything is blended together really nice. And now we're going in with the Maybelline Lasting Fix Setting Spray and making really stupid faces while I spray myself. And I do this before I put highlighter on to make sure that everything's set and to kind of create a nice tacky base for the highlighter. And the highlighter that I'm using is Jeffree Star Skin Frost in Ice Cold. It's a nice white bright highlighter. I've had it since like June of last year. I bought it for my prom. I bought it specifically for prom. I looked at that and Blood Sugar and went, I want those two for prom, period. And that was exactly what I got. And I love it so much because it's such a universal color because it's white. So it doesn't matter what your skin tone is. It looks good. And I'm going to show you how reflective it is with my phone camera. Look at that. And it's so buildable too. Like you could use a little bit and have a natural glow, or you could put like a ton on and have an insane glow. But now we're going to brows, and I am using Maybelline Tattoo Studio brow pomade in 376 medium brown. 90% of my face is Maybelline. I did not realize this until I started like recording the video, and when I was taking all my products out and I was like, okay, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna say that, and I'm like, oh my god, half my stuff is Maybelline. But I mean, I like their products, they work for me, and you know, it is what it is. I just think it's hilarious that most of my collection is like Maybelline. And now we're doing the brows. My 3 favorite things of doing makeup is my eyebrows, my eyeshadow, the contour, and highlighting. And sometimes eyeliner. And now for the base. We're using my NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in white because I'm going to be using bright colors. I want a white base because it'll help make the colors stand out a lot more. And then we're blending it out with a concealer brush. You can use your finger or a brush. I prefer you to use a brush because sometimes when I use my finger, I feel like I blend it out way too much, and that's not as like white or heavy as I would prefer. And I hear a lot of people complain that their eyeshadows aren't pigmented as they would like. And I ask them what they're using. They're like, oh, just like a regular base. And I'm like, does it have any tint to it? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, that's your first problem. If you use a concealer or a white eye primer, then your colors will be a lot brighter. And we're dipping into the Violet Voss Vivid Brights palette in the shade Aerobics, which is this lovely neon green. And we're going to pat that all over the lid as our base. You can actually get that palette at Sephora. And I'm trying to think of a cheaper dupe. I can't think of any places off the top of my head that are selling stuff that it's neons that's really cheap. But the next palette that we're dipping into is the NYX Brights palette. And I'm going to use that dark green. I'm sure you could get away with this look using the green that's right next to the dark green that I was just using. It's more of a yellow green, which is also really good. So we're just going to use that as a medium tone. As my college professor used to say, transition tones do not exist. Which, I mean, they really don't. You're just kind of putting, like, a second shade in to help blend the dark into the light so that it doesn't look as harsh when you complete the look. So we're just going to blend that medium tone in, and then once I'm done that, I'm going to go into my James Charles X Morphe palette and take that lovely dark green. I can't remember what it's called. I got rid of the name cover thing because I didn't really need it. And I'm so sorry for how filthy my palettes are. When I do body painting and I have like paint on my hands, I like touch my stuff. I leave fingerprints all over my camera, all over my palettes. They're like so gross. But I'm like, it's just me who's using them. So it's fine. I'll probably get around to like cleaning them at some point because they're awful. But anyway, we're blending in the eyeshadows. So really, all you need for this eyeshadow look is a yellowy green or a neon green, a medium green tone, and a dark green. So now we're just going to do my under eye, and we're just going to go in with the same colors in the same order on my under eye and just blend them out so that everything is connected. And I'm just adding the light back to my camera because I forgot to add it. And blending. It's just lots of blending. When people ask me how I do my eyeshadow, I'm like, it's just blending. Lots of blending. You're just sitting there with a brush and like your wrist, you get really nice wrist muscles at some point. And sorry for the tinking noise. I hit the little handle on my vanity. So we're going in with that medium green shade. I was going to say brown. That medium green tone. And now for the dark green. I had a body paint thing with those, and those are the only two in that palette that look that gross. I promise you, every other section is much cleaner. I'm so sorry. I think, yeah, I poked myself in the eye with the brush. Because I don't know why, but I kept poking myself in the eye with my little pointy brush, and it really hurt, like, a lot. At one point, I just gave up. I was like, okay, we're done blending the bottom lash line because I'm going to blind myself. And now for the liner, we are going in with the NYX Professional Makeup Epic Ink Liner. I love this eyeliner. I love this eyeliner so much because you can get nice, precise lines. Like, look at how good this wing is. 2 strokes. 2 strokes and we have a clean wing. Now, obviously, I'm going to clean it up and I'm going to fix it. But that's on doing my eyeliner since the 8th grade. But everybody always asks, like, oh, what's the trick to doing eyeliner? And I'm like, practice. Like, constant practice. Like, it took me forever to figure out a technique that worked for me. Because I'm left-handed. So I have to do everything kind of backwards. So I don't flick out. I just drag it in. So now that I've done the wings, I'm just lining my waterline. You don't have to do this step. I also put eyeliner on my inner corner. And in terms of doing the double wing, you can either put one above the wing that you naturally create, because I recommend doing your eyeliner like normal and then deciding if you want a wing to be above it or below it. I put a wing below it for me because I naturally put my eyeliner a little bit up. So now we're going in with the Essence Big Lash Volume Curling Mascara. You can stop here in terms of eye makeup, but I'm going to put on some fake lashes. I'm wearing the Sephora hashtag Mood Vault False Lashes and using the Ardell Lash Glue. And I think my lash style is vivacious or swanky. I don't really know because the package is a bit different from what I'm actually looking at. Well, that's because I trimmed my eyelashes a while ago. So, and another good lash glue is Duo Lash Glue. So either Ardell or Duo in that little white tube. And we're just applying the other eyelash. This is the most stressful part. If I'm going to give you any tips for applying eyelashes, look down. Like the way I'm doing it is I have my head tilted back and I'm looking down, because then that way you can see where you're putting the eyelashes. Look at the difference that they make. You're looking at the top of my head right now. But look at the difference that these things make. They're amazing. And now for the radioactive symbol. I will admit, I screwed it up because I could not rest my elbow on the table because I was trying to stay in frame and like get my camera to focus, and like when I'm doing my makeup, I could get a perfect circle, but I couldn't do the rest. After that circle, everything went downhill because I hunch down when I'm doing my makeup like a hobgoblin. Like, does anybody else do this? They just like squish themselves. I'm slowly hunching in on myself as I'm trying to do, like, look, I screwed it up. You can see the disappointment in my face that I'm like, I screwed it up. Like, that's what it's like, expectations versus reality. But I had a hard time doing it the first time around too, even without a camera. Like, for some reason, the radiation symbol is just, it's a weird thing to try and recreate on your forehead in between your eyebrows. And now we're just going in with lipstick. I'm going in with the Jeffree Star Velour Liquid Lipstick on my top lip in Crocodile Tears. And then I'm going in with Fenty Beauty's Stunna Lip Paint in Uninvited on my bottom lip. I find that my Fenty Beauty lip paint, liquid lipstick, whatever you want to call it, is really watery. Like, it's not as pigmented as it used to be. So if you guys use Fenty Beauty lip paint and yours is like that too, or if it's just mine, do you mind just letting me know in case I have to buy like a new one, or it's not me, or it is me and I need a new one. Oh my God, words are not coming to me today. But yeah, that's the look, the toxic radiation poisoning personified makeup look. So there you have it, guys, my first video tutorial. I will admit the radioactive symbol in the middle of my forehead is really crappy and could have been done better. My only excuse is that it's really hard to freehand the symbol in general. Like, I had a hard time doing it the first time around, but I was able to rest my elbow, and it's really hard to like keep myself in frame so you can see what I'm doing, keep it in focus, and I couldn't rest my elbow and hunch down like I normally do, because then I'd be out of frame because my tripod and camera only went so low. So, I apologize for the crappy radioactive symbol. It's a hard thing to do. If you can, my only other idea instead of freehanding is just getting like a temporary tattoo small enough to put in the between your eyebrows. That's the only other thing that I can think of, because it's such a hard thing to do, especially like halfway through it my eyeliner pen started like fraying and I'm like, what the heck. So but other than that, you have a great neon green double wing eye makeup look if you don't want to include the radioactive symbol in the middle. And yeah, I think I did pretty good. Let me know what you think in the comments, if you don't want me to do a video tutorial again. Or if you have any recommendations on how to do them better, because I'm recording on a camera, and my phone camera is atrocious when it comes to recordings and taking pictures and stuff. Like, it's awful. And I have an iPhone X and XR, I think, but it's awful. It sucks. So, and if you don't like the voiceover and would prefer me to just like talk through it, then let me know. This is new. I'm trying something new. It's different, but it's kind of an inside peek on how I do my makeup looks and what products I use. I know a lot of the products are either too expensive or inaccessible for people. I'm going to try and use products that are accessible to everybody, but I can't guarantee, because I'm working with a collection that I've curated since I was 15. So, we'll see what I can do, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you!